Welcome to Saints on Cinema. I am Tim Wild, and we are here with Ashley Preston-Bowden. Did I get that all right?
You did.
Very specific about her name and her pronunciation. She is a friend of the show and joining us for her first appearance here on Saints on Cinema. And we have a very special episode for her because we're going to be talking about her, not her top 7 live-action Disney remakes. Did I say that well enough? Clear enough? The reason it's her list is because Josh was supposed to be joining us, and so we were all three going to bring our list to the table, and he had some kind of a scheduling conflict because he forgot about our show tonight that he scheduled, by the way, and I decided that I wasn't going to do a list, and here's why, Ashley.
Okay.
I have not seen all of the Disney movies, and so it would be fair to throw in the ones that, or to categorize them with certain ones that I haven't seen. For example, I tried last night to watch the Lady and the Tramp crap. And as soon as the first little bit was fine, I love the little drawing transition into the actual live film and everything. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but and she was cute, and then the moment she started talking to the rat, I was like, oh, okay. And it had nothing to do with the weird animation, all that stuff that everyone else was complaining about when that first came out. But I was just like, this is dumb, and I didn't care. I'm not a dog guy in the first place. I was really forcing myself to watch it. I love the cartoon. But, well, I don't love the cartoon. Let me rephrase that. I like parts of the cartoon.
Okay.
Siamese cats are the best part of the cartoon, and I know that they're not in this one, so whatever. Anyway, that's an example. I've seen some most of the remakes, and I had complaints about most of the remakes, but I don't think I've seen enough of them to be able to say these are the best.
Okay.
But you have a list, and I know you're a huge Disney buff, and you're so excited to share your love and adoration for these movies, and so I'm going to do my very best not to crap all over them as you give me your list. I have a favorite, though. I do have a favorite, and I'll save that to see if it comes up on your list.
Okay.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Did you go all the way back to, like, the 90s with, like, 101 Dalmatians and stuff like that, or did you just go to the modern ones, like, after Cinderella?
Oh, I went all the way back.
Did you?
I did.
I'm impressed. Okay, now I'm excited to hear what you had to say. Okay, Ashley, the floor is yours. Top 7. Do you know what 7, by the way?
Okay, but you did say that you thought you could guess what mine were. Did
Not
you
all 7. No, you want me to do that? Should we do that?
I want to see if you can if you actually get it right.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna just tell me if they're on the list. Let me say them all. I'm gonna just off the top of my head real quick. I'm betting you did Aladdin. I'm betting in your top 3 is Maleficent. I'm gonna say Lion King because that's so popular.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Now I can't even think of what they are now that I'm on the spot here. I don't think Are you a dog person? You actually, the way you just responded, I'm gonna say Lady and the Tramp's on there.
Okay.
You're like, you have a really good poker face. Okay. Lady and Tramp. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping you didn't put Dumbo on there because I'm never going to trust your opinion on anything again if you did. Cinderella, probably. And let's see, that's 5. Oh, I don't want to put my favorite one on there because it'll just be telling. What else was there? Pete's Dragon? That's not a remake. Was that a remake? Did you count Pete's Dragon in your consideration?
It was a remake, yeah.
You counted that? Because he's an animation. Even part of it was animated to a live.
Right.
But
so
even
that's the thing, I was like,
cartoon to a CGI.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's true. I guess that's a valid point.
What's that?
I said you make a valid point, but yeah, keep going.
Because it's from a live action to a live action with a different dragon, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a cartoon. It was CGI. It's totally different.
Totally. I agree.
Totally.
I agree. It's a different art form and different can do different ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll just throw Pete's Dragon on there.
Okay.
Gosh, I don't know what you want left to determine. I'll just say 101 Dalmatians.
Okay.
Okay, so Aladdin, Maleficent, Lion King. I'm going to guess that's in your top 3 unless you throw Cinderella. Oh, I forgot Beauty and the Beast. I'm going to take off Pete's Dragon for stupid Beauty and the Beast.
You are hilarious.
Okay, I have reasons for everything I dislike about some of those.
Okay.
And some of them I have full reviews on, so I'm not going to go way into it. But that's my list. Aladdin, Maleficent, Lion King, Lady and the Tramp, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, 101 Dalmatians. That's 7. Am I close?
Okay.
And those are all the main ones. I mean, can't be that far off, right?
Right. That
Okay,
was 7.
tell you what. You start at your number 7, work your way up, and I'll just check them off. We'll see how I did. How about that?
Okay, that works.
Boom!
Boom.
All right, Ashley's top 7 live-action Disney remakes. Go!
Okay, go. Number 7. Actually, Cinderella was 7.
Okay. Let me say, I went to see it with my daughter in the theater, and I fell asleep, and I never revisited it. So
here's my thing.
Okay.
I feel Kenneth Branagh did a beautiful job with his direction. I feel that movie failed on so many levels because the script writers, honestly, that script was awful. Like they like totally like went away from like what it should have been. And the costume and design was awful as well.
Really?
Like,
Everyone talked about that dress for months and months and months.
But that's the thing. Like, yeah, it was beautiful for like now. Like when you look at like that time period, there was no authenticity. It was no. So.
Well, hang on. What time? The original cartoon, was that like a period piece of some type?
Yeah, it was. What is it?
I don't know. I'm not that guy.
That guy.
Fashion history.
No, yeah, the costumes were off, and it was just. I mean, they were beautiful, but they just weren't right. And the shoes were good, but the dress was awful. So.
Because that was the one where they had like the statistics. They were sharing all over how many diamond pieces were in the dress and like and stuff. Like it was huge news when that, and it was gorgeous, like I said.
It's beautiful. It just wasn't right for Cinderella.
Okay.
But Kate Blanchett did a remarkable job.
Who was she?
She was his stepmother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you like the Drew Barrymore one? Was it Ever After? I think that was the Drew Barrymore.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, like I liked it fine.
Angelica Houston was phenomenal as the stepmother. So good.
Okay, so I love Angelica Houston. So you're right. Like she's great. I'm not a big fan of Drew Barrymore though. Like that's my.
No, I hate Drew Barrymore.
Okay, so yeah, it's like, I think that's why I didn't really like fully like it. It's just because it was her and she was like always there and you stop looking at you. But
was it a musical or no? It wasn't, right?
No, and that's also part of the problem. Because
come on. Cinderella does not have that good songs anyway, really.
No, it didn't. But like
live action would not work. That's it.
It would have. It could have done.
Boppity boo. Okay.
No, for real though, it could have worked.
Okay, I agree. Yeah. You mean bippity boppity boo?
Yes, it could have definitely worked. And so here's the thing. So Kenneth Branagh is just brilliant and amazing. If he was given something better, so I'm blaming everything, the fails and everything on the scriptwriters because they went too far away from like what it should have been.
Okay, so you're a purist. You like the original. Is that one of your top 7 Disney cartoons, maybe?
No.
Okay, and that's fine. You can have a strong opinion if it's not even one of your favorites.
Yeah.
All right.
He's about everything. Come on, Tim.
Yeah. And I love the name dropping you do. I'm like, I don't know who they are, but anyway. Okay, that's interesting. 7, and that was a hugely popular thing. That was like Cinderella was like the Iron Man.
Right.
Or the MCU of these Disney movies. Everyone looks at that one, even though it wasn't the very first. They were like, oh, comic book movies are awesome. He's like, oh, these Disney remakes are awesome, but they're not all awesome. Okay, good one. You got that out of the way, and it looked beautiful. That's all I got. I fell asleep, and I was not engaged enough to go back and see it. Because how many times have you seen that story? I don't really need that one.
I've seen the story a lot. It's definitely overdone.
Do you like the Broadway?
Yeah, Richard Harrison's version?
Yes.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, schmaltzy, but yeah, you like it.
But it's Cinderella. You expect that.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the Broadway. So like seeing the movie, if they had a better, there's not a really good live action. There's several, and I don't like any of the movie versions of the Broadway, but other than the original old one with Leslie Ann Warren. Have you seen that one? The one like the 70s or whatever? So
Orange
good.
Dress, right? There's
What's
like
that?
the orange. Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And also there's the one with the Muppets. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, but that's not the musical, is it?
No, that's a musical as well.
Cinderella?
With the Muppets. The little Muppets sing.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Cinderella with the Muppets, and then there's like a Muppet
On
one.
like their show or something?
I don't know, like it was a movie. I
A
swear.
Cinderella movie with the Muppets.
I remember seeing it, and it was one of my VHSs with the white tape because I taped it on the TV.
Okay.
Like,
I'll have to look that up because that's got to be pretty old. Because if it was on a VHS,
oh, it's super old.
okay.
Super old.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that one though. Who played Cinderella?
Oh, honestly, I couldn't know.
Some actress, a live person.
It was a live person. The prince and Cinderella were live person. The stepsisters were puppets.
Are you? Oh, is it? No, I don't know what it is. Okay.
No, okay.
We'll talk about this off air. Okay. All right. Cinderella, number 7. Number 6.
Number 6, I gave Lion King.
That's a good drop. Proud of you, Ashley. Give me your thoughts.
Give me your thoughts. Okay, so here's my thing. Like,
I want to do a feature on the show called Here's the Thing.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
So I love that like James Earl Jones like came back. Like that right there. Like made me so happy that he was in it. Are you not happy about that?
I have comments. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Okay. So I love that he came back. And I honestly don't mind Donnie Glover. Like his voice was great. I'm just so grateful that Matthew Broderick was nowhere near this movie.
Really?
That I was like, seriously, his voice. Ugh. Anyway, so
Matthew Broderick's voice.
I can't get it. I remember like as a kid watching the cartoon, I'm like, what's wrong with this adult version? Like I'm just like, what is it? And then I figured it out. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Matthew Broderick. That's why. So yeah, no. I was just so grateful that it wasn't him and that Earl James Jones was back and that it was just beautiful, like landscaping and like camera like movements and
the cinematography was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about James Earl Jones being back.
Okay.
2 parts. One, and I wasn't the one that thought of this part, but if you're gonna have him come back, and I didn't really care about this until after I saw the movie. If you're gonna have James Earl Jones come back because he's so iconic as Mufasa, you can't do anyone else. I feel that Zazu didn't work.
No.
John Oliver, I'm like, I'm sorry, Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean,
Right.
him being Zazu was just as iconic for that relationship and some of the interaction with Scar and like all of it. He tied a lot of that story together. Was just as critical and iconic as James Earl Jones as Mufasa. The problem I had, and I was fine with the casting, was like, if you have one come back, why aren't you just doing all of them coming? Why is he the one that you can't find anyone? No one else has a take on Mufasa, you know? But when you listen to it, we all have that dialogue from Mufasa so ingrained in our head. So when you're watching the movie, you're hearing him try and do a different take. He's trying to say the lines a little bit differently, but it's the identical script, and he's 30 years older. Right. All I'm hearing while I'm watching it is like there's a familiarity with the lines and his voice, but it sounds like an off take, like one they didn't go with back when they recorded. Like they pulled some audio clips off the editing floor and they're like, here's some unused clips, and I'm like, yeah, that's why they didn't go with those. The other ones are better, And it was distracting.
Right. No, because that's true. Because the first time when I watched it, I was like, this sounds like him. Is it in my head or is this real? And I was like, oh, it is real. Okay. So it's like, I feel you there. I feel you.
Like
I did not like Zazu. I did not like Zazu. I did not like Timon and Pumbaa. Those voices were awful. Did you? No. I thought
They stole the show, I felt.
Yeah, no.
I like Scar and I love Nala.
You like Beyonce's Nala?
Yeah. Oh, I love Nala.
Okay.
I liked the hyenas, but I missed the old ones. I missed the characters, but they did something different with the characters. I was fine with it.
You like alternate, so it was fine with a new voice. Yeah.
I didn't feel like that movie added anything. That was the big problem. I'm not the brilliant person to come up with that. There's a lot of people that felt the same way. But after I watched it, I was like, all it was like a CGI regurgitation to impress us with their special effects, which were impressive. Of a story that I didn't get any emotion out of. Like, I didn't feel when Mufasa died, spoilers, when Mufasa died, I felt nothing when little baby Simba goes up to him and stuff. It was like a long shot. It was far away and you're like, he's just walking in the valley and stuff. I'm like, Okay. I was like, okay, I guess we're moving on. Let's get to Timon and Pumbaa, you know?
Like next, yeah.
Stuff like that. Be prepared. Complete drop of the ball. They sucked at that song. That was so exciting. And it was like nothing. No build up. You know, he's like stomping. It's like, then the gas is like exploding around him with the green light and stuff. And it's like, boom. And he's like stepping and they start singing. In this one, he's just like, he starts walking and then he doesn't even start walking. He just starts saying the lines, and then you're like, "Oh, he's already one verse in," and I didn't realize he was singing yet because the music didn't cue it and build it up, you know?
Right.
And that's like the greatest villain song in all of Disney, and they even went one verse.
Disney, really?
What's better than that one?
Dude, are you for real right now?
One that's as good. There's some good ones. Don't get me wrong.
From Little Mermaid.
Oh, it's fun, but Be Prepared is like a menacing song.
It is true. That is great, but
Ursula's very fun. The Savages song in Pocahontas is a very good villain song, but that's kind of a montage song.
Yeah, the montage is good. I wouldn't say like it was strong by itself.
I'd have to look at it. We'll do another list someday of the top 7 villain songs. But that one's way up there. That's like 1 or 2, I think, on anyone's list. And it was
it's a good one, definitely.
The hyenas were scary too. When the way they did the sound design for their laughing and stuff and echoing in the theater, you're like, really? You know, that was so good. And the last thing, the visuals at the very end when they had their fight, even though the fight was very bland, whatever, when the lightning and the fire underneath the rock and the red shadows all over the walls of the rock and stuff, it was so cool. It just looked gorgeous, like you said. A lot of praise for it. Added nothing. No. I'm glad you put it down at 6. That's good.
It was beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful.
When they first showed the mouse after the first song, they show that little mouse. Remember the little mouse crawling up and down the leaf, and then the water and everything up into the rock and stuff. It was like 2 minutes watching this mouse. I was captivated. I was like, I could just watch this mouse for 2 hours. You know, I loved it. And then it gets caught. Then they start the movie. I'm like, all right, well, I was more excited about the mouse. Anyway, okay, go on. Any other thoughts on?
Any on additional thoughts? I would say like the opening scene, like you just said, it was absolutely brilliant. Like the whole opening thing, but like the whole opening music for the cartoon was also like amazing. So. Oh,
and the other thing. Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Sucked. It was
awful. I missed Elton John. Thank you for bringing that up.
And it was in the daytime. They're singing Can You Feel the Love Tonight in the middle of the day. Like it was like sunny around them.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Anyway, I didn't get it. Okay, number 5.
Okay, at 5, I have Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, okay. See, I hadn't watched that one. That's the James Franco one, right?
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's Oz.
That's Oz.
Alice in Wonder. Wait a minute.
Johnny Depp is Mad Hatter.
Oh yeah. I didn't watch that one either. I wanted to. That was Tim Burton, right?
What's Tim Burton?
It was so done with Tim Burton after he ruined Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was like, I'm just too scared to even go into it. But okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
it's not my favorite story anyway. But go ahead.
No, so the cartoon is kind of creepy, but I do love. Here's my thing. I feel like there's no one else who could have done the bringing opium to everyone's minds than Tim Burton that movie. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
I am like dead serious about that.
I want to feel like I'm on drugs watching the show. Like that's what I need in an Alice in Wonderland. Okay.
You know, Lewis Carroll, like he wrote it while he was on opium high, like the book, you know, and so it's like I don't feel like anyone else could have like done that except for Tim Burton, and like how he did everything was beautiful, and then the actors that you had in it were just phenomenal, like Stephen Fry, like who would have ever, you know, the cat from the cartoon is like he was more silly and goofy, where Stephen Fry's cat was like kind of creepy, but like I feel like he honed in more on the book opposed to honing in on like Disney's adaptation.
The cartoon, right? Okay.
So it wasn't. So this is where like the whole purist comment, it doesn't really like go into play because it wasn't like it. It wasn't like the cartoon. I mean, it was.
Like the book. That's okay.
It was more like the book.
If you're gonna have a book and you make a cartoon out of the book, and most of these come from some fairy tale story of some kind, and you're gonna do a live action remake and draw more from the book, that's a positive thing. And if nothing else, it's a spin. It's a different take on it. Not like Lion King. It was no different take on it. It just didn't succeed.
Right.
Other than being a visual spectacle. So you appreciate that it came from the book more. Okay.
I did. And like I do feel that Tim Burton just did a beautiful job and that the casting was actually very good. You know, so
there was one that came out in like, I'm gonna say like 97, 8 or 9-ish. It was a little older. I don't know if you ever come across it, but it had
Martin Short in it. The one with Martin Short.
Yes, and
Okay.
Whoopi Goldberg was a Cheshire Cat, and Christopher Lloyd was the one of the knights. It was brilliant. That is like the perfect version of that show with an amazing cast.
And that was the same director who did Merlin, right? With Sam Neill.
I don't know. Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was.
So smart.
They were both like things.
It was about the same time. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that version of Alice in Wonderland is just perfect. I love it so much.
It
had Gene Wilder did the Turtle Soup song. Remember that part? Or the Beautiful Soup or whatever with the sleeping. There was a cat or something falling asleep. I don't remember.
Oh.
When not Dorothy, I almost said Dorothy. When Alice goes back home and she's supposed to sing the song at the recital, she sings the Beautiful Soup or Sleeping Soup or whatever it was song instead of the dumb thing she was. Anyway, it was good. I'll find a clip for you sometime.
Okay, thank you.
But I love that version, so I was like, other than Tim Burton, and at that point he made movies and threw up Tim Burton all over the camera.
Right, because he was everywhere at that like time, and like it felt like he was like couldn't equally put his talent to like one thing, so he was like trying to spin it and it just wasn't.
Right.
I get it.
Okay.
But yeah, so you like the other version like so much, like maybe don't let this destroy it for you. But like it was good. It just wasn't that one with Martin Short.
I'll go check it out. I'll watch at least I'll watch parts with the cat. Now, did it focus on the?
So Johnny Depp did a very good job as Mad Hatter as well. I will say that.
I think I did see, because that's the one that had a sequel, right?
It did. The sequel wasn't as good.
I saw parts with Johnny Depp in the sequel, and the tea party's the cool part of that story. Did it focus on the massacre of the oysters or whatever it was? That's a horrible story.
It was, and it was in there, but it wasn't.
It wasn't as dramatic and traumatic as the cartoon.
Right. It's like the cartoon, you're like, what did I just watch? And it's like,
right?
Right. So like, I mean, it was there. It just wasn't as
prevalent.
Right.
In your face, and like, make sure you fall in love with these things before we kill them.
Pretty much.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. Good notes. Good notes. All right. Number 4.
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast. No. Lady and the Tramp.
No.
Okay. What is it then?
It's Jungle Book, but the 1994 version with Jason Scott Lee.
Was that Disney?
It was.
Okay.
I swear it was. If it wasn't, I'm gonna be like really embarrassed right now. But like, I swear it was.
I don't know. Just that you went that far back and went into it. You know what though? That's enough. Like the cartoon, if I remember, I saw it like when it first came out. In '92, that was. I thought it was a little
94.
later. 94. Okay, that sounds about right. Okay. Go ahead. Thoughts.
Okay. So here's my thing. It wasn't like the cartoon, but it was all about like, because his whole thing, like he had that connection with animals because he respected nature and the jungle, right?
An author? Who are we talking about?
Mowgli. So
Okay.
like as a kid, he's there and they're, he's talking about the stories and everything in the very beginning. And they're around like the campfire, his dad's telling him the stories, and all of a sudden all the tigers come and attack the camp, right? And they don't attack him. And then, so now he's an adult and they need someone to take them into the jungle. Carrie Elwes is in it as well, and Sam Neill. And what's her name?
Oh, I remember this now.
Do you remember this?
He was like a hunter, the boyfriend or something like that. He was a rich guy? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so they needed him to take this group into the jungle. And, he was friends with the girl. So he was like, well, okay, so he was doing it, but they were breaking all the rules and he was getting mad about it. So like, and the whole thing is just about how if you can, so my tree huggerness is coming out, but like, it's like, if you can like respect nature and you like really, it's like, there wasn't a connection because the animals spoke English and he could speak English back, right? Like whatever. it was that there was like this respect because they could, I do feel that animals can like see your true self and your soul, and there was like that respect there, you know? So like that's how he was able to communicate with like all the animals, is like because they could see his true intentions and everything like that. So, and also I learned in that movie that salt, you know, purifies wounds. So that was extra bonus. But
What?
remember?
I don't remember. I very little remember this movie.
Like in the temple, and like they triggered it, and like so that it starts filling up with salt and like crushing and like the bad guys, you know. But he had like a bullet wound, and it's like, no, okay, don't worry about it.
Was that King Louis? That was the one where they find King Louis. Like they found the King Louis throne and treasure and stuff like that.
That's what they're looking for. Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember. Is that the one where he had the line where he says to someone, they were showing him a picture or something, he says, tell him I know who has his hat or something like that? He makes a comment referring to.
That's it. That's in there.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Wow, that's sad.
Wasn't that the kid that played, because he was older. This wasn't like off of the cartoon. But wasn't that the kid that played the main character in Mortal Kombat back then?
No, different actor. I do like Mortal Kombat though, but no, different actor. Jason Scott Lee. He was the guy in Mortal Kombat. It wasn't Jason Scott Lee.
Okay. He was in a couple of things. They look very similar.
They do. But yeah, different. Yeah, it's a different person. But,
okay.
Yeah.
So you like the message, you like the morals and the values and your.
Like it wasn't like in your face though. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't in your face. Like I'm making it sound like it was in your face because like those things that like I grab onto, you know, but. It wasn't in your face about it, but it just.
If that movie was made now, it would be in your face. Like that's how they do it now.
Yes, no, exactly, that's true. But like I like the fact that the animals like were there, but because it made more sense to me. I was like, how is this, you know, raised by wolves and friends with panthers? I'm like, I want that life, you know, and it's like.
It was more real.
It was more real. It was like on like a real level. And so it's like, oh, this is like the real thing. And then they derived it to make the other version, you know?
Okay. Now, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
When they get around to doing Tarzan, would you prefer a Tarzan, because I've seen two different types, a Tarzan that was more like that movie you're talking about where he has an association and a relationship with the animals, but they're not talking and unrealistic? Or do you want it to be more true to the cartoon where they have comedic personalities and sing songs and make music and stuff?
Well, like you saw the new Tarzan, right? Like it just came out like not super long ago.
Oh yeah. The one that was more
Right.
I don't like the way it was edited, but I liked it.
Yeah, I think it was fine, but like yeah. Nah. I feel like if they were to redo it, I feel like it would, me personally, if they like went kind of like along this type of theme, but like different than the new Tarzan that they just did. But yeah.
Because that was more like Greystroke, the original, that's not the name of the book, but that was the movie. There was a Christopher Lambert Tarzan movie that's the greatest of all time, where it was very realistic and it was based off of the book, very much like the book. And a lot of the cartoon movie is a lot like the book.
Right.
That new one, or the one that came out a few years ago, the flashbacks were all those scenes from the book. But the current story that they were going through, which is the part I didn't like, was all new and made up. However, when he jumped off the cliff and started swinging himself, the way that it was all shot was so freaking cool. I didn't know how you pull off Tarzan swinging, but it was amazing.
Bravo. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, and like the remake, like the newer remake of Jungle Book.
That's my next question.
Was like, what was it? 2017 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is. I will say I totally appreciated how they tied in certain things, like Christopher Walken's in the cowbell, you know, like that was in there. Like that was awesome. Like little things like that were just awesome. And like, you know, Bill Murray is like Baloo was just fun. But like, yeah, that one didn't make my list, but it's like, it's you know, I appreciated what they did. I just preferred this version of Jungle Book.
All right, you ready for me to drop a bomb on you?
Yes.
That is my number one.
Is it really?
My number one. That live action remake, because here's the thing, I hate the Jungle Book. I hate it. It's so boring to me. The
Right.
cartoon is like short, it's stupid. Everyone in the jungle is just a jerk. Like everyone, even his kind of friends, like the elephants and stuff, they tolerate him, but no one like embraces him. Bagheera does, but it's kind of like more his responsibility to take care of him. The only one that really cares about him is Baloo, and Baloo is just trying to exploit him, really. You know what I mean? It's just buddy, and it's just like no one there except for the wolves actually really care that make me care about their relationship, you know. And the story of the whole thing with Shere Khan and everything and the cartoon is kind of, they make it too jokey, and it's fine for what it was and the time that movie came out. That's what you were going for. But this movie, you took those characters, those situations, and you took the most obnoxious freaking character in all of Disney, which was Mowgli. Can't stand Mowgli. And they made him the freaking belle of the ball. I couldn't take my eyes off of him. He was such a good character, so charismatic. That little kid, he was charming. He was so like his ignorance and his like trying to be like an animal, he couldn't do it. The way they shot him running through the jungle and stuff with his little loincloth, he was so cute. And I was like, this is beautiful. Like they took it, I hate
that actor did phenomenal. Like nailed it. No, I'll give you that.
And then the other characters, they made them interesting, with Ka being and that was what's her name?
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes. No. I thought it was was that Scarlett Johansson?
Ah.
Maybe you're right. I was thinking it was Brad Pitt's second wife.
Wait, what?
Not Jennifer Aniston, the other one.
The other second wife?
Was that his third wife? Whoever he broke up, what's her name? Angelina Jolie. I thought that was Angelina Jolie. You're right. It was Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, I liked that scene. I liked how they told the story of Shere Khan with the fire and everything and the train and everything. That was so good. Until all of a sudden, a shadow comes in and saves him, and it was Baloo. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? There's no way. The way they had that massive snake draped all over like 50 feet of tree.
Right.
There's no way Baloo was gonna like save that freaking kid up in the it was ridiculous. That part was dumb. And the other thing, they couldn't decide if they were doing a musical or not. They couldn't put one foot in or out of the water. They were like, they had a big, huge musical number with freaking what's he just said? Christopher Walken, Louis. But then, right before that, they had Mowgli sitting on Baloo, you know, as they're drifting down the river, and he's like singing bare necessities, but kind of. And I was like, are we singing, or are we just, what are we doing? And then it goes right into a big musical number, and that was like halfway through the movie. We have our first real number. Never do it again. I'm like, hey, you guys, do it or don't do it. You know, it was so weird. But
the music was weird. But if they didn't have Christopher Walken singing that, though, that just would have been weird. Like in
that song, I would have been like, "That's the song I wanted." I agree.
Exactly, that had to be in there. All the other ones didn't.
But you could have done a big fun number with bare necessities. I mean, come on.
You could have, but like with Bill Murray, I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't really care about Bill Murray in there.
Yeah, it's like I don't think Bill Murray could have done the big musical number.
Right. And I say this too, from the very opening, or the early part where they were at the watering hole, and you saw all the animals coming out in daylight, and it was really clear to see their fur and the little gnats flying around them and stuff like that. That scene made me so desperate to see what they could do with Robin Hood and the Lion King. Now we've had the Lion King. They perfected their craft. They just didn't know how to tell a more exciting story and emotionally. So now I can't wait for Robin Hood after seeing the Jungle Book, not after seeing Lion King. Anyway, I loved it. It's my number one. The things they added worked really well. Character fleshed out much better than the cartoon.
Right.
Really, really, really enjoyed it. Anyway. So that was my number one as a side note, but it's interesting that you went for the 94 one. So
I'm glad that you had a number one.
Yes, I do have a favorite. And that's why watching Aladdin and watching the freaking Beauty and the Beast and watching these other ones, I'm like, I'm sorry, those don't add up to telling a good story, fleshing out these characters and adding something that makes me interested in it.
Okay.
As well as Jungle Book did.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay. Number 3 then. Oh, I'm gonna say Maleficent.
Maleficent. We had this conversation.
Did we?
We did.
Did you know I agree with you?
Yes.
Oh. Did I do my chastisement of Maleficent video? If not, you should join me.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do it. So is it Beauty and the Beast? That's my next number 3 for you.
For number 3?
Yeah.
No, that's not my number 3.
Okay, I got nothing then. What is it?
My number 3 is actually Dumbo.
No way! Come on!
Let me explain why.
Okay.
I have my reasons.
Okay.
I have my reasons.
Okay.
I hated the cartoon. Hated that cartoon as a child. For the times, it took me forever to even watch the live action version because I was like, no, it's gonna be awful, it's gonna be horrible. There's no freaking way I'm gonna watch this. And then I finally did because my kid.
Trust your instincts, by the way.
Just my instincts. But here's why, and I will never watch it again. But here's why.
It's like 8 hours long and it's boring. Okay, go ahead.
Here's why it's number 3. It is number 3 on my list because they took something that was so awful with that cartoon and they were able to actually make a story out of it that actually kind of made sense, even though I feel that if it wasn't for The Greatest Showman coming out, like, I feel that this would have done better. It's like it was completely overshadowed because Greatest Showman was like the most amazing circus movie ever in the world.
Right.
And I feel that like totally put a shadow on this and like it couldn't live up to what it really was.
Like we had seen an amazing spectacle with circus stuff.
Right.
Even the flying elephant wasn't going to sell us unless it was flying Zac Efron and Zendaya. Okay.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying, and that was my thought with Jungle Book. I hate the movie. I hate the cartoon. That's why this was so good. So you're kind of the same way. Okay.
Kind of, yeah. So like it, and then the fact like, so they and how they incorporated the songs, like it wasn't like a musical, but they were able to incorporate those like, you know, Baby Mine song and like the loading of the train, like whatever that one is at the very beginning.
Love that. The Casey Jr., the opening. I gave it so much praise. I hated the movie, but that opening sequence where it showed the little montage and the train going through it has a map, right? I think it was a map traveling thing.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was so awesome. And then the movie starts, and I was like, oh.
Okay. But like, yeah, so like I liked how they were able to incorporate the songs, like, you know, like Baby Mine, like the mermaids in the background giving comfort, you know, to like the crew because they lost like Rufus or whatever his name is, the a-hole that deserves to die. Thank you very much. Thank you. Like I don't know. I will side with animals before I side with humans, and he deserved it. I'm sorry. So I was really grateful that he died, honestly. But that's the reason why
he died.
I was like, and we got to watch it. You know, this is like sad. But like in the cartoon, the kid who was like, you know, ticking off the mom got no punishment whatsoever, which is not okay. So yeah, that gave me satisfaction. I was like, good, you deserve to be squished, you know. And then so yeah, I really like appreciated how they did that. And then the fact that it, you know, the bubble scene wasn't, you know, Dumbo like drunk.
Elephants on parade. He wasn't drunk.
Right. I appreciated that a little bit, you know, and how they just did it. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I could put myself into the position of being in that time period and going to a circus and like what they actually saw, you know, even though I don't like circuses. But yeah, I that's what was like, I'm like, okay, you know, Colin Farrell, Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, they did good. And Tim Burton did a good job with how he did that, even though it got totally shadowed by The Greatest Showman. But I liked what they did.
Well, I think The Greatest Showman your observation about that is valid, but I think that only is a problem with the first, you know, half the movie where you really have a circus feel before they go to their Dumbo Disneyland, right?
Right.
That being the case, or that being said, I really enjoyed the first 40 minutes of Dumbo because that was the story of Dumbo wrapped up and done well in 40 minutes. The problem was he had to continue on another 40 minutes of this ridiculous second movie that was so stupid, and it was a really big, subtle in your face to Disney, but that wasn't my big issue. But none of that stuff made sense or works, and that's when, actually, you're right. That's when you started getting into the trapeze stuff. You started feeling a little more Greatest Showman. You're right. Yeah. I'll just say the Baby Mine thing didn't work for me because, and I can't remember the details. It wasn't emotional because you didn't have that the part where Dumbo in the cartoon reaches up and he hasn't seen his mom. That was the thing. Dumbo hadn't seen his mom. He had the little mouse. I think his name was Timothy. I can't remember. But the mouse was like, "Hey, we're gonna go see your mom today." And he gets all excited. This is after he's famous, and they go and you see her in jail, and it says like quarantine, right? It was quarantine, right. Whatever.
A danger elephant.
Yeah. And she sticks her little trunk out and their little trunks hook, and then Timothy looks around and starts seeing all the babies and the moms and stuff. Like, they didn't earn that moment, you know. I can't remember exactly why, but there's some other things about that scene that didn't work. Okay. And I can't remember the details. And I'll just say I hate 2 songs I can't stand is Pink Elephants on Parade and Heffalumps and Woozles. I throw up when I hear those songs. That being the case, they moved in and moved out of that song. I was glad it wasn't too much lingering, and it was kind of, what am I looking at? It was kind of weird. Anyway, okay, that's really interesting, but most of you just praise it for making you enjoy something, and you gave it credit for being under the shadow of Greatest Showman from a movie you didn't like.
Exactly.
All right. That's your reasoning. That's fine. I couldn't stand so much of it. But Dumbo was cool, but Dumbo wasn't the main character of that movie.
No.
All right.
Okay.
One question on that. Do you wish they had the crows in there, or are you in the camp of like, oh, that's too racist, so I don't want those stereotypical crows in the movie?
Honestly, I didn't even think about that.
Okay.
Like the whole like racist thing. It was more of, I appreciated that the animals weren't necessarily talking to each other, and I was actually grateful that the mouse.
Yes.
So yeah, I just like, oh good, like it's an actual elephant.
Yes. Okay. I did like that. You can show animals communicating and interacting with each other, even conversationally, without talking.
Yes.
And there's a place for that in different movies. Lion King, you couldn't get away with that. That'd be the most boring movie ever to watch Lion King if they weren't talking. Problem is, once they started talking, you're like, what's going on with their mouth? That's not natural. When they start singing, it's like, that mouth shape doesn't make that noise.
Nope.
Okay, Dumbo's number 3. Okay.
Yeah. Number 3.
Okay, number 2. Let's hear it. Okay, let me guess. Aladdin. I think that's your number 1. Beauty and the Beast.
My number 2 is Aladdin.
Ah!
But here's my thing.
Okay.
So my number 2 and my number 1 were like so close. Like I honestly really struggled. Like I could interchange them like easily.
Okay.
But but my number 1 has like an emotional thing to it. So I'm not saying it.
Okay.
So my number 2, Aladdin. Now the reason why it got my number 2,
Will Smith is so hot. Is that
no.
It? Okay.
I'm glad you think that. So anyway.
He's charismatic as heck, but whatever.
So like what I appreciated was that like Robin Williams like did awesome as like Genie. Like it was amazing. So I love and appreciate that Will Smith was able to make it his own without taking away from Robin Williams. That I absolutely loved and appreciated. And then the costume design was phenomenal. And then the colors, everything. Yeah. So like the colors and everything and how they were able to incorporate like actual, culture things where the cartoon like had none of that. I really did like that.
I think that was the most vibrant looking movie, that live action we've had. And that includes what we just saw, a circus in Dumbo. Like, you'd think that'd be much more bright and colorful. That movie was very trowing. Even for Tim Burton. Anyway,
okay, so that's the other thing. Like, we won't go there. But yeah, so I loved how it was able to do that. And like, the movie was different, but not totally, but like they had like plot holes filled and, things like that. But they were able
creative.
Right. But like but they did like hold to the heart of the original, like the heart was still there. Like you can feel it. You don't think so? Are you for real? You didn't feel the heart? Okay. Well, I felt the heart. The heart was there for me. So I did love that, like the costume and makeup and like the colors, and I did feel that the cinematography was great. And I just absolutely love that Will Smith didn't like take away from like Robin Williams. Like you are able to appreciate both of them
individually. Yeah.
Yes.
This is my thought on that, and I agree with you. everyone, when they were talking about Will Smith, even before they saw the blue makeup, they were like, no one can do Robin Williams. No one can be Genie because no one's going to be as good as Robin Williams. But I had to think about it after I saw the movie. I was like, here's the thing. There was no such thing as a Genie character. You know, people saw the performance of Will Smith and like, oh, he was just kind of being Will Smith. Well, hello. Have you ever seen Robin Williams in anything? He was just being Robin Williams. That was not a character. He didn't create a Genie. He was Robin Williams talking the Genie or speaking the Genie's lines. You know what I mean? And that's not discrediting it. He was fantastic. But Will Smith did the same thing. He was being Will Smith saying the Genie's lines. For that role, you can't be like, he was better than this character, because it's like they were being themselves and they're completely different characters. Both of them highly charismatic.
Oh yeah.
But like everyone's afraid of like, you can't replace Robin Williams. Don't even do the movie. It's like, they did something. They took a take. They had a very successful, and that was his highest grossing movie, if I remember. That was a box office record for Will Smith, at least opening week, whatever it was.
Awesome.
Of all his stuff in the 90s and 2000s, that was his biggest movie, I think. It was opening weekend, whatever it was. But like he did his own thing, and it was cool. And they gave a lot more character, a lot more, not character like personality and stuff, but they gave story for the Genie with his little girlfriend and more.
I love the story with Genie. He got his happy ending. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like even like the Robin Williams Genie, like he goes off and he's by himself and he goes to Disneyland. Like literally he's wearing the Goofy hat, you know, and you watch like the second one. So it's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. You know, it's like, okay, cool. But it's like, I love that, like, yeah, the story with the girlfriend and the kids. That was awesome. And
that Genie like completely broke, I don't know if you could call it breaking the fourth wall, but he was like, that was very, what's the word? Where, you know, self-aware.
Yeah.
That Genie was self-aware of being in a Disney film. This movie was like he was within the film.
Yeah.
And I like that. So The Heart, can I just bag on your movie right now?
You can. I will let you.
I don't remember if we did a review of this. I've had this conversation multiple times, but here's the thing. Aladdin, in the original Aladdin, I was trying to do this really quick. The original Aladdin, you have him, you show, first of all, Jafar. I decided there was 3 things. I think we did do a video on this. There's 3 things you need to make Aladdin work. Jafar has to be scary.
Right.
Genie has to be awesome. And Aladdin and Jasmine, you have to actually care about the relationship, and that has to work. Otherwise, if any of those things don't work, you don't have Aladdin movie, right?
Right.
Genie was fantastic.
Right.
Jafar was pointless and stupid. He didn't do anything. He had that little side plot, which I liked, where he's like, he wanted to expand and conquer other nations. It wasn't just, I want to be the head of the Sultan, where he's like, he's just as rich and powerful. Why does he need to be the Sultan? He's not going to change, you know, which bedroom is his. You know what I mean? That's all that was going to be different. But he had this plan that they mentioned once when he was looking at a map, and they never talked about it again. And you didn't see it in any of his performance. The original, the first scene is him killing some freaking, or letting some thief die just to get him closer to the lamp. You know, you're like, ooh, this guy is vicious. You know, he does not care about anyone, you know? And that transition, how diabolical he was. And with his conversations with Iago really brings out his plans and how menacing he is, and what his schemes really are, what he's all about. This character, Iago didn't say anything or do anything, so that didn't, you know, share anything with us. And all he did was had his staff, and he had his dialogue with the Sultan. That's it. It was really dumb.
So
I wasn't scared at all, and he was just a bland, boring actor.
So I don't feel he was going for scary. I feel he was going more for like troubled mentally and like power complex.
That's boring after the original Jafar.
No. So like I hear what you're saying, but like he got psycho in like the end, which was like fun and different, you know, because like it didn't matter. Like I don't know. I
was watching him. I was like, and the actor, it wasn't the actor, it was the direction. I was just like, I'm not afraid of you. I need to be worried about the well-being of this guy. Is not the guy that's going to put Jasmine in an hourglass where she's going to suffocate and die and turn into a snake and like try and kill Aladdin. You know what I mean? That's scary stuff. There's scary visuals and everything. And he was just, when he becomes the sorcerer and everything, like, holy, he puts the palace up in the sky. I'm like, this guy is for real. This guy, and it was like the end sequence was like that stupid giant Iago bird chase through the city in broad daylight. I'm like, this is.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean,
I didn't like that.
But Jasmine and Aladdin, I'm sorry, Jasmine was phenomenal. Aladdin looked good. And other people have said this, but Aladdin looked like if you went to Disneyland and had the actor playing Aladdin in the street, that's who they cast. It was just a guy. It felt like it's a guy. When they sing A Whole New World, which I was so excited for, it looked beautiful, but like she would sing all loud and stuff, and when he would sing, it seemed like they quieted the microphone. You know, they shut it down, so she way overpowered him in this song.
Yeah.
But here's the this made me so nuts because I like Aladdin.
Yeah.
You open Aladdin, you have him running from the guards, stealing the bread and everything, and he's in danger. They're trying to kill him, and he is barely getting away. Once he gets away from this guard, he falls through this door or whatever. I mean, everything just keeps falling apart. He has to like be quick on his feet. I never felt like in this movie he was in peril at all. He had all of his parkour running through everything. He was like, I have complete control over the city. I was like, no, he has to barely get away. And like, that's what that song was about. He's like, I can barely survive. And then he gets down and shares his bread with the little kid. And like, oh, he's compassionate. What a sweet guy. And then he goes up to the palace after he's called a street rat or whatever. He gets up to his little apartment, his rooftop, and looks out over the expanse of the city, and he sees the palace, and he's just like, oh, I'm just a nobody, and this is what I look at every day, you know. And you feel for him. Right. And then Jasmine separately, she's sitting there hanging out in the palace, and she's like, I just want to get away. I don't want to be a princess. I don't want to be just traded for with some guy. And so she wants to get out and see the world. You're like, oh, I care about her. She's a captive in her own way, you know? Right. Then they meet. Then he saves her. Then they go up and they realize what they have in common. But in this movie, the opening scene with both of them is both of them running through the streets together where he saves her. He's not in danger. And then they get up there and you don't care about him. You don't care about her. So I don't care about them together because they didn't give me time to care about them individually.
Okay, I can give you that one. Like, so I feel like, so you're saying like, if you didn't have that emotion from the original, you don't have it for this one because they didn't put it in there. So like new people who've never seen the original,
they didn't spend time letting me care about the character. They don't have to do it shot for shot remake. That's what Lion King did. They didn't pull that off either. No. But they didn't film scenes. You know, they spent time with Aladdin by himself. I cared about Aladdin. Then they spent a little bit of time with Jasmine. Oh, I care about Jasmine. Now I care about them together when he helps her. And I see, oh, they have this connection together. They have the same ideas and stuff, and they have this chemistry together. They kind of clash. They're sarcastic with each other. And then the hand reaching thing, all that stuff, like, oh, this is cute. But in this one, it's just like, no, I'm just gonna save you. I can like run through the streets and no one can touch me. And I'm like the king of the world and everything. And he gets there, and at the very end of the movie, they're like, well, we got to do some female girl power thing. So let's make her the Sultan. Even though this whole movie, we established that he rules the streets, she doesn't even understand what currency is and how to buy an apple or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, she is so clueless, but you're giving her the keys of the castle just so you can say girl power.
For girl power.
I'm fine with girl power. And they wrote her song. I liked her song.
I loved her song.
Silenced or whatever. What is it called?
Yeah. Speechless.
Speechless. They write her this song. She's like, she's getting arrested by Jafar, and she's like, pause the movie, everyone. I gotta sing my song that I will not be quieted, right? So she sings this song, and I'm sitting there like, is this actually happening? Is this all in her head? I couldn't figure it out. And then she goes through this whole thing. She's walking through the room, and everyone's like frozen in time and stuff. And then it cuts back, and it was in her head, and she was singing about how I won't be silenced, and then she's immediately arrested. I'm like, what was that for? I was like, if you're gonna do girl power, go all in. And I thought Jasmine was already one of the most girl powerly independent princesses there was. But they made her like, we had to make a Huh?
Like Disney can't do girl power very well. Look at Avengers. All the
I just
can't do girl power well.
Belle is my princess, okay?
Love
and
Belle.
She was incredibly girl power in her cartoon.
Right.
Jasmine was very strong and independent in her cartoon. Maleficent, amazing in Sleeping Beauty. That's she's my number one. I did a list years ago, my top 10 Disney villains. Number one was Maleficent. You know who number 10 was? Number 10 was the rat in The Lady and the Tramp. Because that freaking rat, in the cartoon when the rat tries to get into the nursery and gets to the baby, you're like, oh, it's so scary. It's
So
like,
gross.
oh, so
gross. Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
back to, but I'm just saying, Aladdin, all the emotional stuff that I was going for or hoping for, it didn't work. Any of it. They didn't earn it, except for the genie. That's the only thing that worked. It was a fun movie, but
I can respect your decision, but I disagree.
Okay, that's fine. But you like Dumbo, so. All right, number one, lay it on me.
Number one, Beauty and the Beast.
All right.
Because, again, the costumes were accurate.
Beautiful.
To the time period, they were absolutely beautiful. The makeup was phenomenal.
For him? What makeup?
All of it. Like, so, like, how they were able to do it. So, like, in the very beginning where they had, like, the white wigs and, like, they're in the ball before, like, you know, she comes, like, the witch comes in and everything.
Enchantress.
It was absolutely beautiful.
It was.
And then I loved how they had Kevin Kline be this artist. And
Kevin Kline?
Yeah, wasn't he the dad?
I don't know. The dove.
Yes.
What dove?
He was the dad.
Oh, dad. I don't remember. I only saw it once, but go ahead.
Okay. So he was, and I loved how he was like an artist. And then I love how they were able to give Emma Watson the inventor role. Because like that wasn't heard of. It's like, yeah, you know, in the cartoon it's like, yeah, she read, so that made her, she was weird because she read books. But it's like, no. Like now she's really weird because she reads and she actually creates things and uses her mind, you know? Like it helped tie in that more, you know, for me. That she like was totally ahead of her time and outside of all of that.
Which is
right. And so I loved how they did that. And then I loved how LeFou wasn't completely the villain. He was more of this little tag along until all of a sudden he had like this snap of reality, like, wait a second, in the very end. And I loved that. I
don't really remember that part.
Yeah, so like the whole time
I was bored with the movie by then. Yeah.
But the song Evermore, that Dan Stevens sings as the Beast as she's like going away, that was not in the cartoon. That song is what pushed it for me for number one, because that was so beautifully done. It was beautifully written. It was beautifully, like, all of it.
I love how it's shocked when he's like out in the garden along the, if I remember, he like goes out, like the window is out on the balcony, kind of jumping around and watching her leave and stuff. It was really cool. It was well shot.
So that song is what pushed it over, because that song is amazing.
But did you watch the Broadway, or have you seen or heard the Broadway?
I've heard it.
The song that he sings, the Without Her song, whatever it's called, I think it's Without Her. That song is amazing. They're both good, but I was like listening to the new one and I was like, oh, I wish they had done that other one because it was
really okay.
A little bit better, but it's still good, same effect.
Yeah.
Yes. You'd be surprised, but I had problems with it.
I'm not surprised at all.
Anything else you want to say about the praise though before I crap on it? I'm not even crap on it. I don't have a lot of crap for it. I had the highest expectations for it because Belle is my Disney princess.
Right. Okay. So you went in with high expectations.
Because the way they did the trailers, they were showing us this is a shot-for-shot live-action version of the cartoon. They showed, remember everyone was putting out on YouTube the side-by-side comparisons of the cartoon with the thing. So that was intentional, and they were misleading us, and that's why I had problems with Maleficent. We'll save that for another day, but they were misleading us in the trailers, and I wasn't going, and I didn't need, and I would have been happy with the way they did Lion King, just a live action, even though it's not really live action, it was all CGI, but live action recreation. Mm-hmm. Artistically, I'd like to see them with the makeup, with the sets, with the edit, with the Beast CGI and everything. I would love to see a beautiful live action version of the cartoon.
Right.
That's what they were showing in the promotion, in the advertisements. But then they changed the story and broke parts of the story when they were trying to expand on it. It ruined stuff. Example, Other than also, few moments didn't hit for me, like when she first gets to the prison or to the dungeon, and he throws her, or she's in there, and he first steps in the light and reveals himself. In the cartoon, that's like so amazing. You're like, you're
dramatic.
Yeah. In this one, I was like, he just kind of like is there. He's just, you know. I was like, okay, she didn't actually spawn it. And I'll just say, when Emma Watson was cast, like, oh, that's perfect. And then I thought about it before I even saw a trailer. I was like, oh, she's great, but she's not Belle. Like, she is not my Belle. I'm like, oh, that's not gonna be great. And then I saw the movie. I'm like, yeah, she wasn't Belle. She's a great actress.
Yeah, that's not true, Belle. Who would you have cast?
I know who. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
No. No.
Oh.
I watched like things of it and I got annoyed, so I stopped.
Kind of annoying. Well, there's the actress in Game of Thrones, and I can't remember her name. She's Rose, not Rose. There's a girl. I'll send you a link to her later. But she's for anyone watching, she's the one that married. She was the daughter of the House of the Flower House, whatever it was. I can't remember the name. Anyway, I'll send you a picture.
Okay.
Beautiful. Just very charming. She looks, as long as she can sing. But Emma Watson had to be auto-tuned, so anyone could sing in that movie. But she would have been great. But anyway, I'll find it for you. But I had my cast, and I thought about this after I saw the movie. Anyway, this is the biggest thing for me. Let's limit it down to one thing.
Okay.
In the movie, the cartoon, he has this mirror, right?
Yes.
In the opening sequence when it's telling the tale, it says that his only connection to the outside world was the mirror. The mirror lets him see whatever presently he wants to see. That's his only way to look at the world, because he is enclosed and is self captive, or not captivating, but well, he's whatever. He's kind of done. I don't think he can't leave, because he does leave. He goes and saves her in the forest from the wolves. But he's self-imprisoned, right? And this is his only thing to remember the world that he once knew. So she comes in, they later on fall in love, and I'm sorry, my favorite song in the cartoon is the Something There That Wasn't There Before song. Beautiful. And this one, I was like, this is so dumb. It just did not work.
Right.
I have many examples of that, but I'd have to rewatch the sequence, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
But anyway, so they introduced this stupid book. Here's this book. I have the mirror, but here's this book that if we go into the book, we can teleport into a memory and go to another place and be there physically, just because they wanted to expand on her backstory of her mother or whatever that stupid thing was. That just reminded me of Sleepy Hollow, the backstory with, you know, that's what I thought the whole time. So he's over here and he's saying, look at this cool book. I can travel here and here and see anything I want. Oh, that's awesome. It does the same thing as the mirror, essentially. So later on in the cartoon, without the book, when they fall in love, she realizes that her father is sick and he's dying, trying to get to her. She needs to go to him. They're out of time. The last petal is going to fall. He's like, I have to make a choice. I'm going to give you the only thing that connects me to the outside world, and the only way I'll be able to see you ever again. Take this. Go find your father. I want you to be able to remember me. That's such a big sacrifice that I'd rather you remember me than me being able to perv out on you through this thing, right? So she goes and she takes the mirror, and that's how she tries to prove it. And we know the story of the cartoon. But in this one, if you have that stupid teleportation book, that makes the mirror meaningless. So when he gives her the mirror, I'm like, well, who cares? You have this book that you can go wherever you want. That just ruined the whole thing. So I like, when there's no sacrifice, there's none of that. By the time they come back and have the big fight at the end, I'm like, I don't care about the beast anymore. They didn't earn it. And when he was mad in the cartoon, getting ready for the dinner party and all that stuff, like he was like confining her to a room and all that stuff, he was angry and he was upset. This one, he was spineless. Even fighting with the servants and everything, I didn't feel any transition. He was just kind of, he was supposed to be more scary in the beginning part, so that when he's peaceful later, you're like, oh, there's a big change. And this one, he was just kind of a wimp the whole time. I'm like, that's not the beast. That's not Belle. They don't have connection. There's no sacrifice. There's no tension for the flower dying. I don't even care. So by the time you get to the end where you have your moment with LeFou that you like, I've already checked out. You know what I mean? However,
I don't feel that it wasn't a sacrifice. I feel like the book only gives him, like, he doesn't have connection with the book.
teleportation.
Like, go places. But it's not teleportation. It's like
It's
can
memory.
I don't even think
go back and watch the ballroom dance over and over and over. He can always relive that memory live, 3-dimensionally.
I don't think so, because like there wasn't people. Like when he used it, when you gotta see them go in, and they went to where she, you know, her mom died and everything. Like, first of all, I love that they tied in that her mom died from the plague. I thought that was important. But like you hear, but you see no one. So here's like a plot hole that I'm kind of like filling in on my own like imagination thing. Right?
Okay.
Because like they don't explain the bits of the books. I'm giving you that one. But like in my mind, it's like that is something, because he's talking about like, yeah, he can go here, he went here, he did all these things. But yeah, and this book allows him to transport to those places. But it's like he could go there, but it's just sound. Like you can hear that there's people there, but you can't see anything. You can't interact with anything. Like there's nothing, and you're there by yourself. So unless he has somewhere to go with him, I think it's more deep than like what you're giving it, personally.
Well, if it's more deep, then that just proves my point more that he has a greater treasure in this book.
But the book, it does nothing if you have no one to go with you, is basically what I'm saying. Like, why go in a book? You know, maybe he used it a lot at first because like he was trapped in, but like as you get older, it's like I'm gonna go places and not see anybody and not really interact with things. It's all dark, like no matter what, you know, kind of thing.
Right. But that's what I'm coming. Was like, I mean, no one's with him in the mirror, but he's just, I want to remember. I want to see the world that I'm not a part of.
But see, like in the mirror, he can actually see people where you don't see people with the book.
Are you? I don't remember. I'll have to rewatch that dumb scene. That's the last scene I'd ever want to watch of that movie. But where they go through the book thing, and
right.
I don't know. I was like, you just negated the mirror. The sacrifice isn't as good, and I'm sorry, I didn't really care about the Beast going into this relationship. And my favorite song, you guys didn't really sell me on that either. And that was the thing with the book. Her reading was a beautiful transition into one thing that brought them together later on, was her teaching him to read. They even had there was a line of dialogue where he touches her paw, and she didn't recall or whatever the line is, you know, she didn't shudder at my paw or whatever.
Yes.
Right when they said that line, she's handing him a book or whatever, and she like touches his paw, and they're like, didn't acknowledge that. Like it was like, right there, that's where you respond, you know. And in the cartoon, she touched his paw, and she had the birdseed or whatever, like, oh, there's that moment. And I don't know. The one thing that saved it, though, Gaston. Holy cow. He was so awesome.
Luke Evans did that amazingly.
Gosh, it was great. And the song, one thing I hate about the song, but the song was awesome. And I love the backstory. They expand on that he was like a captain. I was like, okay, so he's been out, he's traveled, he maybe didn't do anything, he in some great war or anything, maybe wasn't even in a battle, but to them, this is their folk hero. This is their champion, because he's been out, he was a soldier, came back, and he's just living off of the praise. Right, but then LeFou, and people argue with me, but no, he's going around when he starts singing the song, LeFou is going around tipping people money to participate. No, this is their hero. This is the whole point of the song. It's not some praise that he had to pay for them to cheer him up. They love him. They're not going to join the mob at the end if he's not their hero and their champion. You don't pay them to celebrate Gaston. He's Gaston. You know, it's like, why did they do that?
He wasn't paying them to like celebrate him.
They weren't paying attention. He pays them. They're like, and you're strong or whatever.
He was paying them to get more drunk so they would actually sing, because no one sings like that and dances around if they're not drunk.
That's not how I read it. And it was like the first line of the song. Like, I don't know. I was like, come on. You don't have to pay them. They were involved. Once they were aware, they're singing, their number expanded out throughout the room, they got more involved, but you don't have to pay them to be involved. They're excited. This is their thing. Anyway, he was great. He was really, really great.
Yes.
And I like that they wrapped in the Enchantress, that she came back into the plot. I like that there was meaning there. I did have some chronological issues with the travel, and I wrote like a 12-page review of this movie for absolutely no reason. Saints on Cinema was not even on my mind. I just wrote it.
It's therapeutic.
Frustrated. Yes. But I had a lot to say about the time frames of who can travel to and from the castle and the village, and why it takes one person like a day and takes another like 2 minutes. It was just nuts. Anyway,
Yeah, that was annoying.
beautiful movie.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't care about the music, and I wasn't emotionally captivated. But again, like I said, that's my princess, and that's the one I cared the most about, and I was disappointed. But
I'm so sorry.
it's okay. But you loved it, so it made you happy. So that's worth celebrating.
It did. It was there for me at a time where I needed it.
Well,
Yes.
you hit all the big ones that I expected you to, and that's
Okay.
not a criticism or a condescending comment or anything.
But Lady and Tramp was awful. I'm just gonna throw that in.
Was it?
It was.
Without the Siamese cats that are totally racist, like that's the funniest part of that movie. I'm sorry, it is. I like the crows in Dumbo, and I'm
Mhm.
whatever. That's part of what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Let me ask you this: what's the next, other than Mulan? What's the big live action that you want them to do that is or isn't in the books that they're announced? What's the big one you're excited about?
Oh shoot! Like a live action that they haven't announced.
They haven't done yet, yeah. Or even if they have, what's the one you're most looking forward to that's not been done yet?
Okay, well, first of all, I would love them to actually do a good job on Sleeping Beauty because that's my princess.
Is that yours? That's your
my
princess? She's barely a princess.
So I sing the songs. Like that's my thing. Like the songs and how
I know you. I walked with you once upon a dream.
No, like the other one where it's just like her, in the woods. I'm not gonna do it, dude. I'm just like
That's his only song in the woods. Is that the only song? Oh, I want no.
it's like her like spirit voice where he's like, is that a spirit? And it's just like her like awing,
I don't remember. It's been too
Yeah.
long.
And
Okay.
like I loved how so like, I would just love them to actually because like I don't like Maleficent. They didn't give that show justice. Maleficent in the cartoon was the most evil, wonderfully best villain there ever was
Sure.
ever. And then they destroyed her. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, I don't know. Anyway, and Sleeping Beauty was supposed to be like this beautiful, beautiful, talented, everything. Fanning, come on, I'm sorry. So like, I didn't like what
Angelina
they did.
Jolie did great. She
did.
was so
It was
spot on, and I fell
Yeah.
in love with her. And she told and conveyed so much emotion just from an expression. It was amazing.
And
It
it
was
wasn't her fault
story
that
that
she ruined the screenplay. So yes, it's true. Yeah. So but I would love for them to do that. But I am actually very excited. And here's what I'm nervous about it, but I'm excited about it. That them doing Sword in the Stone. Because I absolutely loved Merlin. The same thing as like the Alice in Wonderland, that director. The Merlin with Sam Neill. I loved it. And I just how like they were able to do everything. I'm hoping that they actually give Sword and Stone justice. Because
You
I
want to
don't.
be just as goofy and cartoony with fish and squirrels and all that stuff? You want the whole
I want it to have a good balance. I don't want it to be like crazy weird, but it needs to like, see, I don't want to,
If you don't do all that goofy stuff, there are so many King Arthur stories. Like that's the only thing that's going to make that distinct.
And that's my whole thing. It's like I feel that there's a way that they could do it and not full blown like goofy silliness, but still have it be its own thing and still have it be wonderfully done.
I don't know.
I have it in my head, and if it doesn't come in my head, I'm gonna be disappointed. So.
If you take out Merlin and his goofiness and even Archimedes, I'm sorry, you have a very entertaining movie. That movie would be boring as crap.
But like but like you can keep them the same. I think that would be great.
But that's the
Sometimes,
goofiness.
I know the goofiness there. It just you need to have like I don't know. Like there's other things in the background.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's like like Mulan. Like you can tell that they're going to be doing like phenomenal fight scenes. They're going to be doing all this kind of stuff. I feel that they could do that with Sword and Stone.
Okay.
And it would be different, but it would be true, but still Disney.
You want it more like the book with the adultery and everything?
No.
All right. Well, I think that's a good one. But did you go back and rewatch that after Disney Plus launched?
No, I've had it. I've owned
my buddy Lance, who's been on the show, he and I love Sword in the Stone, but I haven't watched it in years. And that's the thing, everyone talks about Robin Hood and Black Cauldron. That's the ones. Robin Hood's amazing. I watched it last night with my kids. I was like, I forgot how amazing this movie is. And I watched it 1,000 times. I was like reciting the whole movie, watching with them. They were really annoying. But like Black Cauldron or Dark Cauldron, Black Cauldron, and Sword in the Stone, those are slow movies when you sit down and rewatch them. But Merlin has to be exactly like Merlin in the cartoon. Like you've got to, I don't know who you would cast, but like that's got to be dead on for it to work. You can't have another Emma Watson, not Emma Watson, what's her name? Whoever played Belle.
Emma Watson.
Watson, that's what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
So anyway, that's interesting casting. I have to think about that, but that'd be a fun one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good story, but I want all the goofiness in there. I want Archimedes, the witch, Madam Mim. I need all of it to be just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, it's just another boring, dry action schlock King Arthur movie. And
no, can't have that.
Those.
I'm not looking forward to live action Lilo and Stitch.
Wow, that would be awful. You're right.
They're planning on it.
Are they really?
It was on, like, I saw some, I mean, it could have been fake and hopefully it is, but like,
Oh, I'm sure it's coming. Are you excited about Little Mermaid?
Yes. But like I said, like the whole Ursula thing, I'm so nervous because I feel Ursula was just so perfect.
Did you watch that one? It's on Disney Plus, I think, but that one they did was just
live action on Netflix.
Yes. Did you watch that?
I haven't.
I didn't either. I watched certain scenes because I had to see John Stamos play the chef. But the Maleficent part was amazing. It was Queen Latifah, I think. But it was so cool how they did the effects and the lights and the smoke and stuff like that on the live stage. It was really cool. Anyway, good stuff. I want to see Hercules. Hercules, I love.
Yes.
If they don't do the music right, and if Meg's not freaking sensational, then I don't care. But yeah, and Tarzan is fun, but we were talking about that. But Hercules is the one I want to see the most, and Robin Hood. But they better do it carefully with love, and I want the animals to look perfect, but wearing clothes.
Yeah, yes. No, I'm nervous about that one because, like, do you feel that they would make them actual life size, like so the fox and like Little John? You know what I mean? Like,
good point. That's a very good point.
So it's like
you have a rabbit, which is like half the size of the fox, and they're like a bear. And then what's is a pot or a odd or what's Friar Tuck? He's a
mole.
He's a mole? Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's
and then, like the mole's ginormous and you have the mouse, you know? So it's like I'm nervous. It's like, what are you gonna do? You know, because like I like the sizing that they have, you know.
Yeah, if they do it like that, if they do it just like that, live action version, same clothes, same color, great. All right. Well, Ashley, that was a wonderful list. I only strongly disagree with Dumbo, and I was just taken back by Jungle Book, but I'm not going to say you had any problems with that. And I'm glad we see eye to eye on Maleficent. We are going to get together and trash it because that'll be fun.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. This was a long one, but this is a fun discussion. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us, and you should come back and we'll talk about something else that just tickle your fancy.
Sounds good.
So thrilled about. But sorry, Josh, you missed out on a fun discussion because you forgot to check your schedule and you're sitting at home in the coronavirus crap and you have no excuses for not being ready to go. So anyway, for now, thanks for watching. Saints on Cinema. I had to remember the name of our channel and what my next line was. Ashley, thanks again. You're wonderful, delightful, and welcome back anytime. Yay. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.